he's a foreigner and you have to pay the bill. Of course, after that, many shocks bombarded my family, my small family, and in my life. I could not issue a resident permit for my son. I could not open a bank account. I could not simply travel without permission of the father. I could not even register his name without the father. And the most important thing, he could not inherit anything from me until today. And I could not, of course, pass my nationality to him. And I was shocked, of course, that in fact, my son also, he could not enjoy a higher university, and he was the first in his school. And by the age of 18, he had to leave the country because he's a foreigner. So I would say, worst of all, this also meant that my son, like all affected children, would have no right to remain in the country of his birth. Upon turning 18, he would be required to obtain residency sponsorship from a university or private business, or leave the only country that he called home. Of course, this sponsorship means the mother has to pay lots of money to renew. I have to register him as my driver or my maid or whoever, you know. I thought if people just knew about the suffering caused by this unjust law, perhaps we could change it. So I began talking about how the law was hurting my family in local forums. In 2007, I interviewed more than 300 women, and I realized that there are more women who are suffering than myself and my son. When he turned 18, I thought, if he cannot have all this, why should I call Oman my home? So I left with him, and now, since 2016, I live in Germany in exile. Families continue to suffer every day because women are denied equal nationality rights. Women are penalized for choosing to marry non-citizens, which infringes on their right to freely choose a spouse. Some children raised in their mother's country are unable to be cared for their father, who are forced to work abroad without a pathway to citizenship in their wife's country, which is granted to the spouse of men. The cases of family separation caused by gender discrimination in nationality laws only increased during the pandemic, when travel bans prevented women's non-citizen children and spouses from entering countries to be united with their families. As incidents of gender-based violence increased during the pandemic, women who sought to leave abusive relationships faced even greater barriers when their or their children's nationality was depending upon the abuser. I promise you, I'm not usually this emotional, but I just remember that tomorrow my son is turning 25, and it's been a long journey. On 16th April this year, the Sultan of Oman issued a royal decree on the marriage of Omanis to foreigners that abolishes the requirement of to get a permission from the Ministry of Interior, and that for both men and women. When you hear it, it's a good news, and well, oh, finally. But actually, provided that it does not conflict with the Sharia law or the public order in Oman. So we are back to the point zero. Of course, this is, to me, is an extra bonus for men, and nothing changed for women, because men and women had to apply for a permit, and women were, regardless of the permit, like myself, they did get married from abroad. But what happened now, the men, they're enjoying to marry whoever they want, and the children can become automatically Omani, and the wives can become Omani later on and have all the rights. Even if a foreign wife, the husband, the Omani husband, dead or divorced, they still can stay in the country, while the Omani women can only get married and get punished by the law. So the law did not change. My son today, he's visiting Oman with a tourist visa. And last time he was there, I gave him a power of attorney. And when he went, he did not exist in the system. Our kids are treated like ghosts. They are not registered in our countries, and they don't recognize them as the children of Omanis. So the ability for policymakers, the ability to benefit the lives of countless families and benefit from all of these family members' contributions to society. Families are suffering every day, but they do not need to be so. Governments, policymakers have the power to make this suffering and this injustice go away. Legal reform is required to uphold women and men's equal right to confer nationality on their children and spouses. And we need bold leadership. Know that when you become a leader in calling for reforms to uphold gender equality, nationality laws, you are doing what is just, what is right, and you are doing what is in your country's best interest. Also remember that our parliament has no power to change any legislation or laws in Oman. They are like just ask them to do a study or ideas, and then the government doesn't have to comply. Citizens' children want to be contribute to their mothers' countries, which they consider they're the children countries. They deserve the right to belong, and women deserve to be treated as equal citizens. It does not need to be complicated. Most countries in the world have demonstrated that this can be done and that it should not be feared. We are not asking for charity. We are calling for our equal rights, and we are calling for all those with influence, political leaders, and all those who have asserted they are committed to helping their country's women to take up this issue and work with us to achieve an end to this unnecessary problem. We know that countries will have a brighter future when they uphold citizens' equal right to pass citizenship. We are looking to you, all those with influence in this room and online, to be a leader on this issue, a leader for equal citizenship for women and men in 2023. Please act now. We are watching you. Thank you.